Sometimes we get so tired, so overwhelmed, and so frustrated that we start believing we're far away from our goals. We tell ourselves that maybe the dream is too big, maybe the journey is too long, or maybe we're just not capable enough. But what we don't realize is that most people quit right before their breakthrough. Success doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't send a warning, a sign, or a message. It tests you by pushing you to your limits and making you doubt everything. And in those moments, when you feel like stopping, that's exactly when you're closest to the finish line. This video is your reminder that you're not stuck, you're not failing, and you're definitely not moving backward. You are closer than you think. Every effort, every struggle, every small step is moving you forward. So don't stop now, keep going, because your moment is approaching. Rule number 1, small steps create breakthroughs. When you finally understand that progress was never meant to look dramatic, loud, or instantly life-changing, because real transformation is built quietly in the background, through the small decisions you repeat every single day, the tiny commitments you honor when no one is watching, the little improvements you make while everyone else is waiting for a perfect moment. Breakthroughs rarely come from sudden miracles. They come from the slow and steady pressure you apply to your goals until the world has no choice but to open a new door for you. And the truth is, most people fail, not because they are incapable, but because they underestimate the power of small, consistent effort, forgetting that the biggest mountains are climbed one step at a time, the longest journeys are completed one move at a time, and the strongest identities are built one habit at a time. So never disrespect your small steps, because every time you choose discipline over comfort, effort over excuses, action over hesitation, you are rewriting your future in ways you may not see immediately, but will feel eventually, and every small step compounds silently like interest, growing, multiplying, stacking, until one day something inside you clicks and life elevates you into a chapter you once believed was impossible, but was actually being formed quietly through your daily actions. And the hardest part is trusting the process when nothing seems to be changing, staying faithful when results are slow, believing in yourself when progress feels invisible. Yet this is exactly where breakthroughs are born. In the boring repetition, in the unseen efforts, in the unnoticed sacrifices. Because small steps are not just movements forward. They are signals to your mind that you refuse to quit, reminders to your soul that you are still fighting, and proof to life that you are ready for more. So take the small step today, even if it feels insignificant. Take it again tomorrow, and again the day after. Because when you look back months or years from now, you will realize that the small steps you almost ignored were the reason you finally broke through. Rule number 2, push hardest near the end. Because the final stretch is where most people collapse. Not because they lack talent or ability, but because fatigue, doubt, and impatience start whispering lies that make the finish line look farther than it really is. And this is exactly why the end demands a different version of you, a stronger, more focused, more resilient version. The one who understands that the closer you get, the tougher it will feel, not as a punishment, but as a signal that your breakthrough is right around the corner. Because life tests you the hardest when you are closest to leveling up. The challenges intensify, the setbacks feel heavier, and the obstacles multiply precisely to see if you want the result badly enough to withstand the pressure required to earn it. So when you reach that moment where everything in you feels tired, drained, and tempted to slow down, that is the moment you push harder than you ever have before. Because the last 10% of your journey often produces 90% of your results. And the final steps, though, exhausting, carry the weight of everything you have worked for. Remember, no marathon runner slows down at the sight of the finish line. No climber gives up when they are inches away from the summit. No warrior retreats when victory is within striking distance. And you too must understand that the harder it gets, the closer you are, which means the pressure you feel is not a sign to stop, but a sign to accelerate. Because the end is where strength is proven, character is revealed, and destiny is secured. This is where you show the world and yourself that quitting is not an option. Slowing down is not an option. Retreating is not an option. Because everything you have endured, suffered, learned, and sacrificed has led you to this very moment, and to give up now would mean disrespecting every step that brought you here. So when your body is tired, let your purpose carry you. When your mind is overwhelmed, let your vision lead you. When your heart feels exhausted, let your why push you forward, because nothing feels more powerful than crossing a finish line you once doubted you could reach. And nothing transforms you more than proving to yourself that you can still push when everything inside you wants to stop. So dig deeper, breathe, focus, and give the final stretch everything you have. Because the end is not where you break, it's where you rise. Rule number 3, momentum grows when you continue. Because every step you take, no matter how small, slow, or imperfect, creates movement. And movement creates energy. And energy builds confidence. And confidence fuels progress. And progress generates even more momentum, turning what once felt heavy and impossible into something that finally feels natural, achievable, and within your control. But the key is that momentum cannot arrive before action. It cannot appear out of nowhere. It cannot be wished into existence. It only awakens when you choose to keep going. Especially on the days when you feel like stopping, because momentum is not built by big dramatic moments, but by quiet consistency, by showing up again and again, by pushing through resistance long enough for your mind and body to align with your purpose. And the truth is that most people never experience the power of momentum because they quit in the early stages when everything feels slow, when results are invisible, when effort feels heavier than reward. But if you push through that phase even just a little longer, you activate a force that begins to work in your favor, turning discipline into habit, habit into flow, and flow into achievement. Think about how a vehicle moves. It takes the most fuel and force just to get it moving from a complete stop. But once it starts rolling, the effort required becomes significantly smaller, and soon the vehicle is gliding with ease, not because the journey became easier, but because momentum took over. And your life works the same way. Your goals work the same way. Your transformation works the same way. Meaning the hardest part is not the middle or the end. It is simply the beginning where you're fighting doubt, comfort, fear, and old habits that try to pull you back to your old self. But if you keep moving inch by inch, step by step, day after day, you create unstoppable momentum that carries you forward, even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. And suddenly you start noticing progress that used to take months now happens in weeks. Changes that felt impossible become reality. Actions that once required force become automatic. And the person you used to be starts fading as the person you're becoming grows stronger, sharper, and more capable. All because you refuse to stop. You refuse to slow down. You refuse to surrender. Momentum is your ally, your engine, your invisible advantage, but it only appears for those who continue, for those who persist through the slow parts, for those who keep going even when progress is too small to see, because momentum sees what you cannot. It knows what lies ahead. It knows the compound effect waiting to explode. It knows that one day your effort will transform into acceleration. So keep going, keep moving, keep showing up, because momentum will meet you only if you refuse to quit.